G'day mates, it's your host Mary O'Neill Phillips and you are listening to Country Outdoors Podcast.
All right, guys, this is a bit of a different one. I am at CMC Rocks. For those of you that don't know what CMC Rocks is, it is the largest country music festival in the Southern Hemisphere. It is in Australia. I got my start in country music with the Country Music Channel, which does not exist anymore, but that is where this festival was birthed from, with Rob Potts as well and all their crew. And I'm here today with Billy Menhennett and Liam Williamson of the Dusty Boots podcast. Welcome to Country Outdoors.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Mary, so CMC, you've been here before?
Yeah, so I started coming to CMC in 2014. It was before I had even decided to pursue my career in country music. I just loved country music, and I came with a bunch of buddies of mine, and we stayed in the small campground, and I just had the best time ever. This was my first, I've been to Ute Musters and B&S's and all of that stuff, and that's a different different kettle of fish, but this is just such a well-rounded festival, from the people attending to the acts performing to just everything to do in general. And I loved it and I fell in love with it. And back then as well, they used to have the Country Music Awards. And so people could go and buy a ticket to the Country Music Awards and then come to the festival after it. And so, yeah, I love it.
We were talking about it yesterday with Country Town Awards were on yesterday in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And CMC were named Festival of the Year, and it was it's only feeling that they get that award because of how good of a festival it is ran. And we were just talking about it before, weren't we, before we come on the cameras, about how clean everything is. The toilet fairies work right through the night to make sure everything's clean. The security and everything in the campgrounds, you walk out, it's always clean. It's just such a clean,
it's
nice
such a
festival.
well-run festival too.
Yeah, and the crew behind the scenes just go above and beyond, as you would know the same.
Yeah, and I've got my little girl here, and I had no qualms in bringing her either. It's a very family-friendly festival, and you can just go back to your campsite if you need to. If she's getting a bit tired, just go on back. Yeah.
And it was so good last night, even when we were in there, and even when we just walked through before, and that all the stuff that they do for kids as well.
Yeah.
It's obviously a big orientated thing of country music is a lot of older people too. Yeah. But without kids falling in love with country music will die in the arse. So with all them here, and you can see kids in there that are dancing and stuff, just loving it. They're their favourite artist. I know with my young fella that's 3, Cassius Culpepper, that song Jenny, he just absolutely loves it. He just my Mrs. Chelsea has sent me probably 3 videos this weekend just to show him of how much he loves it. And he's only 3, so it's these are the people who are going to come through country music, hopefully become artists or get in the scene that we're in with it all, and then it continues to grow.
I think that is what country music is, though, and why it's catching fire at the moment. I think everybody is really craving some sort of just to feel something, to feel connected to something. And that's why you're seeing country music just explode across the charts. For us who have grown up listening to it and loved it forever, we've lived and breathed this lifestyle and have connected to it. But I know it's a controversial topic because people are well, that person's not country and that person's not country. And I agree with some of that stuff, definitely. Yeah. But it's cool to still see people wanting to be a part of it. And that's why, I remember first Alan Jackson concert I ever went to, my husband took me to it in Georgia. And we were sitting there and there was old people there holding hands dancing, and then down the row there's a little kid with their parents as well. And I was that to me is the epitome of what country music is. Yeah. It's just everybody is welcome, and there's a story for everyone.
And it's the best community to be in.
Yeah, it is. And it's things we talk about, you talk about your Jelly Roll and Post Malone and all that sort of stuff, and there's so much conflict between whether they are country artists or not, and that.
Beyonce's the ticking one.
Yeah.
Don't get that's me. My line, and let's get into it.
That's Billy's line in the sand, that whole album, and then when she won the award and all that sort of stuff.
Well, also,
she said herself it's not a country album.
But it's also people that you want, who do you want to be your children to look up to, right? And I'm a conspiracy theorist. I go down the rabbit hole every day, all day, and for anyone who doesn't look into the Puff Daddy stuff, you should look into it. These people are not very good people either, and they don't care about you. They don't care about your family, and the messaging in the songs is not stuff that you want your kids listening to. So I think when it comes to that stuff, we need to actually be very careful. But when you look at Jelly Roll and you look at Post Malone and that, these guys, they have such a heart for it, and they have been moved by the genre and want to be in it and want to actually create in the genre. They're not asking for
Beyonce just jumped on the bandwagon and
that's it.
Chucks on there.
We sat down with Chase Rice last weekend at Meatstock in Bendigo, And I asked Chase at the end of the interview, I said, what's something that you'd recommend to other artists as that, like, what's something you can give a piece of advice for?
Yeah.
And he said, don't just follow a trend.
For
don't
sure.
follow a trend. He said, don't listen to my music. Don't listen to Luke Combs. If you want to play music, write music, all that sort of stuff, run your own race. Just do it yourself. And you'll fall in the right spots.
Yeah.
I think that's in general, just good advice. My acting coach gave that to me. So I went to the New York Film Academy for film school. And one of the best pieces of advice he gave to me was, there is no other Mary O'Neill out there. There's a million girls trying to be the next Scarlett Johansson, the next Angelina Jolie. Figure out what you're good at and be really good at it. And so when I went and pursued my career in the States and ended up in Nashville, I was like, well, there's no other female hosting in country music in Nashville right now. There's no other me. No one has the lifestyle that I grew up on a farm, but I also grew up by the beach in Sydney.
Yeah.
And what are the things that I'm good at? And like honed in on that, like, okay, public speaking, all of this stuff, and like listening and da 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 da. And then that's right. Like you will when you find out what your calling is, not somebody else's calling, you will have success in that.
Zach, myself, and the Country Outdoors family are proud to have Hawk Optics as a sponsor. When it comes to clarity, precision, and overall quality of the product, we have found Hawk Optics to be top of the line and field tested their products year round and had great success. You can check out this example here on the screen of my recent Colorado elk hunt where I harvest this monster bull elk using the Frontier 30 SF hooked up onto my fix from Q. Country Outdoors podcast is proudly presented by Nomad Outdoor. Guys, we've worked with Nomad Outdoor since the beginning of Country Outdoors, and there's a reason for that. They have the absolute best hunting apparel in the hunting industry. We have worn their clothing spring. We've worn their clothing in the fall. We've worn their clothing in the summer. We've worn their clothing on the ice. We've worn it everywhere. We absolutely love it. Guys, they're a Southeastern brand. They represent us. They represent sportsmen and women. Whether it's in the field or by the campfire, Nomad Outdoor has something for every occasion. So you'll come on, go check them out.
That's like with this podcast that we started, Dusty Boots podcast. We sort of had a goal of what we wanted, and then as we got started and started to get our feet, we just fell into the place we fell in.
Yeah.
We didn't push. We didn't have a goal like we want to be here, or do this or that.
Yeah.
It was just we started, and then as we grew, we just fell into the right positions what we're in now.
Started as a stump and has just grown into a million branches.
Tell me about that, because I don't know much about both of your backgrounds.
Yeah.
How did this all come
So
together?
I'm just a chippy, a builder from Ballarat, Victoria. So
Hey, chippies,
carpenter.
Yep.
So
The backbone.
backbone.
They are the backbone of
Yeah. So I've done that for like over 10 years now. So that's just been my life. But in the background of that, I've run events like Kingston Rodeo, which is just outside of Ballarat where we're from.
Yep.
So I ran that for 4 years with a few other guys. So I was right into that event scene of all that. And then I sort of felt just country music love all the time. So then it's just like one after the other at concerts. Like I say to these boys, I remember like I was taking days off work where I was going to like Luke Combs and Darius Rucker in Melbourne. The next night it was like Lee Bryce and Kit Moore. The next night it was like for like 3 days straight, just like country.
He told his boss
And you're
it was
like, I need to
sick,
get
but
paid for doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just sort of fell into the country loving sort of thing. And then I started a country clothing brand, Avenue of Country, which I did for about 5 years. And I didn't really fall out of love with it. I told myself I was too busy, so I just couldn't do it. So I sort of fell a little bit out of love with it.
You're
and
too
then I
busy
was
then.
like, and then I was too busy then. And Charles, my wonderful girlfriend, and we had the kids and that. And I was like, I'm just going to like take the foot off the clothing thing, just sort of disappear out the back door with that. And then I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. So I
bought a roadcaster.
Yeah, I literally told her one day I brought a roadcaster. She looked at me. She's like, "What the hell's a roadcaster?" And I was like, "Oh, it's to do like a podcast." And she's like, "You're gonna start a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." And everyone that knows me knows that I can talk with a mouthful of marbles underwater.
Yeah, they call it the gift of the gab.
Yeah, so I was like, "This is perfect." My parents were both like, "Oh, you can talk." So, so then I brought the roadcaster, and then then Bill.
Yeah, so I've sort of grown up sort of singing just around the family and all that.
Yeah.
And then started posting videos on TikTok of just me singing country music and all that sort of stuff. And then last year I was actually on Australian Idol.
Yeah.
And that's where I started doing pub gigs around town and doing all these events. I opened for Shannon Knoll and Ballarat. And
Shannon Knoll?
Yeah, Knowlesy. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I actually sang the national anthem at this podcast event that I did last year, and then that's where how did you?
I just sort of Billy. So obviously from Ballarat.
We have no idea. We never met each other.
Sort of knew each other, and then like sort of knew who each other were, but just
Yeah.
never really like met and went and hung out and had a beer
Yeah.
together. So it was sort of just the old, I'm someone that if you don't ask, you don't know. And I've always been like that. And I don't know if that's something I've learned off my parents or just learned off people around me. If you don't ask, you don't know. Like, you can ask one question that can get you so far in life, and it's all it
100%.
takes.
It's not going to be yes or no. So.
And like I can be shy at times, but it's just get out there, shake someone's hand, and you talk, and you never
For
know where
sure.
it's going to lead to. Like you don't know. So I just sort of just got Billy's number off one of my mates, and I was just like, hey, look, I've got this roadcaster. It's been sitting here for like 6 months gathering dust. Sort of want to do a podcast, country like music sort of thing, country lifestyle, farm, whatever it's going to be. We had, as I said, we just sort of fell in place once we started because we didn't have too much of a plan of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We just sat down and just literally said, let's talk. Like, just let's get a start.
Yeah,
So
let's start.
then Bill come around. We did it at my house in a little tiny studio,
Yeah.
probably smaller than this room.
Pissed off your missus.
Yeah, I was like, we started and we did it in there, and it was fine. When we started, we were probably real quiet and didn't know how to speak in that. But then we decided,
A few weeks in, we started doing like a poll song where like listeners would select, vote out of 2 songs each week for me to sing to open the show. So then we started doing that, and here's me singing at like 11 o'clock at night, waking all the kids up and shit.
It'd be like Oscar and Sadie both be asleep, and we'd be in this like our studio, which was in the middle of the house, and then
Ain't no love.
he's in the middle, and like he's not singing it quiet. He's like right into it, like he's in the middle of a pub.
Yeah.
You just see the door
always
over
gotta
and
give your
Charleston.
100%.
She'd be just staring at us like, "Get loud, boys." So then we moved on from there, and we grew and grew over the last 11 months, I think it's been.
I think 11
10
months.
Yeah.
Now we've got
So-
our own studio
Yeah.
set up at my joint, so it's pretty cool. Our own very own space.
It's a very unique
Yeah.
space sort of thing. So you got to start somewhere. And you would have
Yeah,
been saying,
you
you
do.
just got to start.
Yeah.
You just got to get out there and yarn. So we
Yeah.
just did that. We just started in the little room, and then we just got to the point where there's more camera gear. You know, it's like more microphones, and the room was just getting more and more compact.
Yeah.
And we just made the decision, radio, if we're going to do it, let's do it. So we brought, it's like 6 metre by 3 metre studio. And instead of just buying it and just getting it put there, what we did is we got everyone that was involved in it to come, and we all built it together, sort of like a big community of everyone that's involved in a podcast. Because we do
Made a vlog out of it. So
yeah, we do. Okay, our Friday show is just country music. It's what we love, what we
Yeah.
talk about. But we
Yeah.
throw a Wednesday show in there just to get rid of like the shit talk and funny stuff and all that
Yeah.
sort of that.
Yeah.
All in that. And we
Yeah.
have like a footy segment, which Nezza is like our footy correspondent. So he talks about like AFL footy, twos footy, like country footy and all that. So we throw that in there, and we've got 4 or 5 different segments of people ringing in. We've got a bloke from UK, Tommy the Pommy.
Pommy's
Pommy
pick.
the Pommy.
Pommy's picks.
Tommy's picks, he rings in. We've got an older fella about Jeffy.
Jeffy rings up dad songs, so any older songs from the 90s or something.
Yeah. So we've got heaps of different little segments. So when we built
Pretty
this,
good because then we like cover a whole range of country music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we built this studio, we were like, let's build it with everyone. Let's get everyone there and build it. And then we just sort of had it, and it was just a big white box. And we're like, what are we going to do in here? And then it was like, we built it all one day. And the next day it was like, let's put iron on the wall. Let's put this here. We had what other
Yeah.
VB Commodore seats that were all welded up by BT.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we had them in there, and they like had them on spinny chairs. And then we're lucky enough that BT made us boys like the back of a ute tray. So it's got all
For a-
lights on it
for
with
a
a Dusty
desk.
Boots number plate.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
pretty
actually
cool.
like my desk that I sit on.
So how long
yeah.
did it take for you guys to bring in sponsors?
We sort of never really chase them really hard. It's just you get to the point where
Yeah, people were
people
saying it,
start
they
to
were like,
notice
"What
who
are we
you are, and then they start to come on board.
So
So,
have you quit your job now?
nah,
But the goal is.
Oh well,
to
I have, but that's because
Yeah.
that's because I was going to start uni.
But you're still playing gigs and stuff.
Yeah, still doing
But
gigs.
the
Yeah.
goal is for this to grow big enough, or were you?
I've never really thought about it. I'm just probably live in the moment a lot with a lot of stuff I do. Like I
Yeah.
just like continue on, and like chipping is like I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Like
gonna
it is
be
like
who- it's who
it's
you
like I've
Yeah.
since I was 10 years old. My old man's been in the building industry for like 40 years. It was
Yeah.
like in the car, this is me, and never would like I talk about like pinch yourself moments. The bloke I work with always laughs at. He's like, you always say that. I'm like, but it is like I never.
Yeah.
If 5 years ago you said to me I'd be sitting at CMC Rocks 2025 interviewing people I don't know from over in Nashville, all that sort of stuff, I wouldn't have even thought that.
Yeah.
Ever. So it's just
Yeah.
like one of it would have just been like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So then it sort of goes to like, I'm just in the moment doing all this stuff, but in the back of my head, I probably need to start thinking, all right, this is getting full on. Like, what am I going to do? Because I'll just work.
Well,
and
you
work.
also have a family.
Yeah, and that's
So,
the thing.
like, yeah.
Like, I always say to people, like, I get to spend so much time with my family. I'll work all day, but when I walk in the door of a night time, it is pretty much like,
Yeah,
radio, like
phones
kids.
away.
Yeah, kids. Let's get them fed. Let's
Yeah.
get them in bed. Once they're in bed, then it's just back to work again for me.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. I'm a very busy person. The boys always pick on me saying I have ADHD, but I don't. That I know of.
Undiagnosed.
Undiagnosed, the boys say, because I'm just like flat out all the time.
Yeah.
I just don't stop. So, Yeah, it's something that probably starts to become goals that we put on the board that like radio is this something we want to do
This
full
can
time.
be full time.
Yeah.
Something we
And then you'll be pursuing your music career as well full time.
Yeah. It's good because because it's a country music podcast. It sort of goes
they
hand in
cross over,
hand.
Sure.
And there's so many things like event management and stuff that like when I ran Kingston Rodeo with all the other guys there, that was something I loved. Like I was like, you know, you're in there on the Thursday setting up Friday, you don't sleep the Friday, you don't sleep the Saturday night, and like you have all the balls, everything, you do everything, and then you're packed up on the Sunday, like that adrenaline for that whole weekend. And then it's once a year and it's gone. You're like, like this, like so stuff like that. Maybe if I ever did go full time, I'd still do chippy stuff just to keep my brain just like ticking.
Yeah.
But like event management or like there's always going to be podcast stuff. Last weekend we were lucky enough to actually MC at Meatstock. Beard Mo,
That's awesome.
Mullet, comp and that. So to get on stage, it was really funny. I'm like a very talkative person in here.
I couldn't
but then
tell.
I get I get out there in front of everyone and I was like walked into this room and I thought this stage was just going to be everyone just walking past the stage at Meatstock. There won't be that many people in there. We walked in this room, there's like probably 2,000 people in there all seated and I was just like,
Where I
was like, shit.
That was my space just on the stage. He's asking me like, "Oh, where do I hold the mic? How far do I have to hold away to talking to
him?" And old mate's like, as soon as you step over that step, he's like, your mic's turned on. I'm looking at Bill. I'm like, okay, sink or run here. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Like, we nailed it. We did really well at it.
Yeah,
but stuff like that, I think MCing is something like I've always sort of looked into as well. Because I think like, I don't know. If you can talk and that, and you can please the crowd, and everyone has a good time if you have a good MC. I feel like anywhere you go. So
100%.
Yes, the goal is maybe in the end to get to being a full-time podcast up. Who knows? But yeah, we'll wait and see.
But like the brand in general to be the full time gig?
Yeah. So
definitely.
We'll just roll with the punches, see what comes and goes.
I love it.
Yeah.
So tell me this, like in terms of just like country lifestyle, you know, with country outdoors, like we talk about like hunting, fishing, farming, all of that stuff. For both of you guys, like where are your roots or like what are your interests, like personal interests?
Exactly that. So I've grown up, we've got a family beef farm that I think we've owned since the 70s or something.
Nice.
And just
Whereabouts?
grown up back in Ballarat, sort of just out of town. And growing up there, we would be there either every second night or every weekend helping out Dad and Grandma and Pa, feed the cows, bring them in, draft them, all that sort of stuff. And then obviously that brought in, we'd be riding motorbikes around the paddock. We'd go hunting down the back paddock.
What did you have like for hunting up there?
So we'd have, there was foxes everywhere, rabbits. You'd get a few roos over in the back paddocks. And then, you'd be spotlighting in Pa's old ute. I think it was Pa's old Rodeo. I think it was like 10 years old and only had 80,000 Ks on it. So it'd only be driven around the paddock. All the hunting, then we'd go fishing and we'd go swimming in the dam. It's just, that's sort of how we all brought up. Just
it's like an Aussie culture. We grew up in a typical Aussie culture, I think.
Yeah.
Country Aussie culture. If you spoke to someone maybe from Nashville, like typical country Aussie, I feel like they just think of them sorts of things.
For sure.
throw us in a patch of grass and we'll make fun out of it.
Yeah. What's funny is they don't call a dam what we call a dam. Their dam is like a big dam with a dam block. Whereas they call what we call a dam a pond.
Yeah, right.
It's like a big pool of water. Because I like down at my farm, we've got like 2 dams.
Yeah.
And Zach came down. I'm like, oh, I'll take you down. We call one Gilligan's Island. And I was like, yeah, I'll take you down to Gilligan's Island. And I take him down there and he's like, this is a pond. And I'm like, no, it's the dam. And he's like, no, this is like a little pond. I'm like, okay, crushing.
It's funny with different things with slang and that way you get stuck on trying to figure it out.
Funny.
Do you want to tell us about your sort of side of the story of how you sort of started and that? Like you've also got the podcast now, but we were talking about CMT before and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I went to New York Film Academy for film school, and I was doing like little acting gigs. I was actually on The Bachelor in Australia. Fun fact.
Really?
In 2014, I was the first intruder they ever brought in. So if you remember the series that had Sam Frost and Blake Garvey, who was like Australia's most hated man. I can say this. This will probably go live, but I mean, I think Blake's gay. I don't know. I really do think he is, because he shut down Sam and then Lisa and then all these girls, and like, and I think he owned a male strip club too. I think that came out in the news too. Anyway, got nothing against gay guys at all. Got lots of gay friends, but I think Blake Garvey might be gay. Anyway, so I was on that series. So funny thing, when he interviewed me, and I didn't get a good vibe off the guy straight away anyway, but when they showed back the clip of me, I walk up in the dress and all, oh, hi, Mary, la la la. And he goes, what are you into? And I said, well, my family have a farm and I grew up riding dirt bikes and I love to play like football and stuff with my siblings. I got 5 of them and, you know, I just love the outdoors and whatever. And it cuts to him and he goes, she's a really beautiful girl, but she's really into blokey things. And I was like,
yeah, but wouldn't he be into that?
Yeah.
yeah, I should have just put on a short wig, a mullet or something. Maybe that would have done it. It turned out I definitely missed a bullet there. But anyway, so eventually got enough behind me, went over to LA to pursue acting. I always thought I was going to be a big Hollywood actress. And I lasted 3 months in LA before, like, I believe in God. I think God was talking to me, and I think that he was telling me if I stay there, it was going to change who I am as a person. And just a lot of really bad things were happening where I was realizing I'm going to have to change, like, the DNA of myself to have success here, and I'm not willing to compromise that. And on top of that, LA is just a cesspool. It's dirty. It's not green. There's nowhere to breathe. And, like, I'd been to Nashville for CMA Fest and fell in love with it. It was so green. People were so nice. It's hot. Like, I love hot weather. And something was just telling me, which I do believe was God, to go back to Nashville. And so I had like a couple $100 left in my bank account, and I changed my ticket. Instead of going home with my tail tucked between my legs, I went down to Nashville and was like, I need to see what's here. And it just was like every green light. You know, I just kept meeting great people. And so came back to Australia, and at the time the country music channel existed, and one of my girlfriends who worked there, I was talking to her and she said, so what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm not going to pursue acting in LA, but I'm a really good entertainer. That's what I'm trained at doing. I love hosting. I love talking to people. And from what I can tell, there's no one doing it in Nashville. There's no females doing it in Nashville. And she was like, okay. So I'm going to be the first. And she goes, what are you going to do? And you're going to start like a blog here or something? I said, no, I'm going to save up all my money. I'm going to go straight back to Nashville. And so this was 2016, and I, for years, 3 years, it was 2015. For 3 years, flew back and forth every 3 months. I'd save up money. I'd work reception in Sydney, save up money, fly to Nashville. When I tell you guys, I was so broke. I was so broke to the point I didn't have a rental car. I would buy literally I had a bag of jerky that I got at the airport, and I lived off that and a loaf of bread for a week because I put all my money into hiring somebody to come and film. And then when I was done with filming, produce it and put it onto a website. And I did that because I had no plan B. I was like, I know this is what my purpose is, and I need to make a way to make this happen, but I need to have, people aren't going to invest in something that doesn't exist. And so I need to prove myself. And so I created a blog called Honey on the Railroad, and I started putting all my edited interviews up there, and they were very like MTV VJ style interviews, sit down one-on-ones. And eventually the country music channel was like, oh gosh, my dates are like all wrong, but backward. Anyway, they were eventually saying, do you want to come and do the red carpet live for us for CMC Rocks? And so that was a really big opportunity for me, because it was like Jason Aldean and Kelsey Ballerini and all these people came. And so it was just an opportunity for me to now be with like an elevated artist, talking to them about what I love. And they gave me the opportunity at that award show to interview Jason Aldean by myself backstage. And that was the very first like big interview I had done backstage. And so it was just him and I just got to ask him every question that I wanted. And for me, I was like, I know this is what I'm meant to do.
That's awesome.
And so I eventually met Zach somewhere in there. We started dating. We did long distance for a year, flying back and forth, still doing my thing. Eventually he proposed. And then so my husband Zach, he was a producer for big outdoor television shows in the States on the Outdoor Channel. So like, you guys probably don't know it, but like the biggest hunting shows in the world. And he is like a very good producer, and like the biggest outdoor brands, Yeti, Under Armour films, all of that stuff. We met, and eventually I had started the podcast with the Outdoor Channel, Country Outdoors podcast. They had come to me and said, you know, because after he got me into hunting, essentially, my ex-boyfriend in Australia said it wasn't a place for women and would never take me. And so when I met Zach, he said, do you want to go turkey hunting? And I was like, yeah. And so I didn't even know how to shoot a shotgun properly or anything like that. And so he took me turkey hunting and I was hooked. Like, I literally, after that, I've now hunted all over the world. Like, it's my biggest passion ever. And eventually I was like, if I can put country music and the outdoors together, I'm never going to work a day in my life. Like, I'll work, but like, I'm going to love it, every second of it. Yeah. And so eventually he was able to leave his job, and as the podcast grew and we pitched to the Outdoor Channel for us to do a semi-live digital show where we'd be on the road traveling in a camper, hunting and fishing, and bring our country music friends on the road in and out for different camps. Yep. And we pitched it. We had sponsors say they were going to jump on. Zach quit his job working for the owner of Bass Pro, which I don't know if you guys know what Bass Pro is, but like,
shit,
biggest, yep. Had all the benefits and stuff that came with it. We get down to Florida and Zach's gone to go get food, and all of a sudden he calls me and he's like, hey, people are lined up like out the front of the supermarket with like piles of toilet paper and stuff. It was the pandemic. Oh. And so he'd quit everything, and we had literally a U-Haul and our truck in Florida, and we're about to wait for sponsors to pay us, and the pandemic's hit. And we were like, well, we don't have a plan B, so we need to try and make this happen. And essentially we got a camper and we just said to all of our sponsors, we're doing this regardless. We're going to go out west where the states aren't shutting down, and we're going to hunt and fish as much as we can and produce like literally weekly episodes while this is going on. And so because we buckled down and hustled, our stuff just grew. No one else was doing it. Everybody was at home. Nobody was working. We were like, we're going to work harder than anybody else.
I think like in that era, so many businesses grew to multi-million-dollar businesses because everyone was at home.
If they put the
hard yards in, because if you just backed off because everyone else was not doing anything,
we could have got pissed every day like everybody else. But no, we were like,
if you put your foot down and you hustled like you said, then you're going to grow your business because everyone is at home. No one's out and about checking their phone. Everyone's at home, computers, phones, all the time, just 24/7.
And I think actually that's when content, how content was being absorbed really did a flip too, because it was like everybody then was on their phones, like back on their phones and all of this. And so we were like weekly episodes, reels, photos, everything. And we were like balls to the wall working. And when the pandemic stopped, all of our partners were like, we want this to be a year-round thing. And so it became like year-round hunting, fishing, country music. And then during the pandemic as well, something that I had always wanted to do was start a writers round in Nashville. And it's not something you can just do when you go to Nashville. You need to know people, you need to be there and have your, teeth cut. And so this was my 5th year being in Nashville. Everything was shut down, the Ryman, Opry, everywhere, apart from like this one venue called the Listening Room in Nashville. And it's a little venue, and they did like separated seating, max 80 person. I think it cut down to one day, like it was 20 people. Right. But my first show, I booked Jordan Davis, Drake White, like really big artists, and we sold out. And I did that for the entire pandemic and sold out every show. That's awesome. And so then it was like, it was just finding opportunity where, and that's I think a really good like lesson just in general. When you think there's no opportunity, there's opportunity. Sit on it and meditate. Like, I don't meditate. For me, it's God. I pray on it. But like, there's always, when you think things are hopeless, there's always light, and you can always find that. But you need to figure out like what you can offer other people, and that's the thing. So the big thing that I learned in all of this is like, it's not about me, it's about everybody else. One thing that we've always said from the beginning of Country Outdoors was, we don't have fans, we have community. 100%. And because like, I'm not a fan. I want to be treated the same as anybody else. So why would I expect anybody to want to be my pleb? You know? And so like, you're building something bigger, and it might take a bit longer, but in the end, people are going to be like, All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I have a terrible sense of direction, and it's no wonder I haven't got lost in the woods or eaten by a bear at this stage, but there's a reason for that, and it's because I have onX Hunt.
Onyx Hunt is incredible. It's an incredible mapping feature, and it has helped me navigate my way out of some pretty sketchy areas using the compass feature. I've been able to get back to my truck. I've been able to drop pins and waypoints to be able to coordinate how to get to A to B, to be able to find that turkey that I saw on the road and knock and get permission. Guys, though, if you really want to know who's a fanatic at dropping pins, it's my husband, Zach. If you look in his phone, he has thousands of these pins. If it was the 1920s, he'd be able to trade them and get some money out of them. But don't take my opinion. Go and download Onyx today and check it out for yourself. Good luck this fall. When you think of the biggest hunting shows, the most legendary hunting shows in outdoor television, what channel do you think of? Outdoor Channel. Country Outdoors is very proud of our partnership with Outdoor Channel, which started during the pandemic in 2020 with our turkey tour, and which has now evolved into a popular adventure series 4 years later. We are available on all Outdoor Channel digital outlets, including My Outdoor TV. And guys, they're giving out a free subscription to My Outdoor TV, so go and check it out.
Communities of us, like the podcast community in Australia, the group that we're in is so big and so good to be
You
part
walk
of.
around and see someone wearing another podcast hat,
yeah.
Alpha Blokes or something. You can go over there, talk, and have a great time because everyone's just, it's just like, it brings everyone together.
Yeah.
And like, you can go to a room where you don't know anyone, you see a hat of a podcast, and you can go talk to them, have a good yarn. And just, that's how strong the podcast community is in Australia.
Everyone's together, everyone's not against each other. It's just, if you know you're in the podcast community, you're safe. Like it's just one big family.
Yeah. And then even with us, we've got our own sort of Facebook page that people can just post to and talk to and send fun things. It's just, it's like you said, they're not fans. We're all one big community. And
I think celebrity worship culture is dying as well. I think everybody wants to be treated the same. Everybody has a story. It doesn't matter if you're the man cleaning the toilet or you're the president of the United States. And I think that's why Trump has had popularity and people like Bob Catters because they're just like, you can relate to them.
Relatable,
You know,
with all the sponsors that jumped on board, obviously with that COVID and that, have you continued on with them sponsors?
We have, and that's something we're really proud of. Is we never wanted to be. We had opportunity to be. I don't know if you guys kind of even know the era, but probably 6 years ago, there was a lot of influencer culture where it was I'm going to sit on a cooler with my bikini and flog a cooler company and I don't even use the cooler and all this. Discount codes and all of that stuff. And I have nothing against discount codes, but people just flogging products that they don't use just to make a dime. And we've always been about field testing and quality and having long-term partners. And so Mossy Oak, all these big brands that we've worked with from the beginning. And we say that to anybody who's looking to work with us in the future, let us try it out, see if we like it, and then we'll have a conversation. And if we are interested, and I would say that's good advice for you guys. Don't do one and dones unless it has to be a one and done. You want your community to be investing in what you've got, and the only way to do that is by having long-term use and partnerships.
And we talk about it with things that you're going to use. So APB boxes that have come on, we know the quality of stuff they have.
Yeah.
You're not going to jump on a brand that's just not the quality.
No.
You're not going to, it's like the same thing. You're not going to wear a t-shirt brand if you don't like that t-shirt, even if you're going to get paid for it. As you say, just jumping on board because you can. You're not going to wear it. So you're not going to be true to yourself to talk about it. We know them guys have the highest quality. Everyone you talk about this high quality.
Yeah.
That's why we jumped on board with them. And we're the same.
Because we try to produce the highest quality content that we could put out possible. Yeah. We don't want to be related to a brand that's just
not true to us.
Not true to us.
Yeah.
Well, we had a company that we worked with on boots for quite a while back in the day, and then they started asking us to align better to their messaging, and their messaging was very anti-guns, anti-hunting and all of this. And I'm it's weird because they're a Western wear company, and what they're putting on their social media is very outdoor conservative lifestyle. But what they were telling us behind the scenes, and that was when we made the decision on where we wanted our brand to go, and we were no, we need to always have a backbone on this stuff. We're not going to change what we align to. It has to be a partnership that people are truly invested in on each side.
And that's for us going forward too. Everyone that we bring on, we're not bringing on a one and done, like you said. We want them on board now, and if they're on board from now,
you know what your mates and your community that are going out and they're buying this and they're like, that sucks. And like, you know, people are working hard for their money these days. It's like inflation's crazy, all of this stuff. And if they go out and buy something because they think you guys are using it and it's good and it sucks, it's not fair to people.
Yeah.
They'll crap shits.
Yeah. That's the whole thing too. You can upset people very quickly, can't you? Like you can create something so big and do one thing wrong.
Yeah.
Like you've always got to think about your next move, what's going to happen. Because you make one wrong decision, team up one wrong person, you can.
Yeah, and people love a downfall as much as they love like the quick rise. But that's why like my advice would be like, don't go for like quick overnight, go for slow burn.
100%
and make smart decisions and take your time to think about things and surround yourself with good people that have the best intentions for you and for what like your goal is.
Yeah.
With
becoming a mother, has this changed up, or do you feel like you've just? So for me, like becoming a parent, like your family becomes all your life. Like you just want to be with your family all the time, but you want to do the best for them and yourself by doing this sort of stuff. Like I wouldn't come to this if I didn't think it was the best for us. Like I would be at home with my family. It's the best things. So has that changed things for you? Like becoming a mum?
I think I'm learning a lot more about like what to say yes and no to. My time is a lot more valuable, but I've also earned that now in my career. I've done a lot of free stuff. I've done a lot of, and I will still I still donate my time for good causes and stuff like that and still will, but I'm not like saying yes to everything now. It's got to be worth it to have her there and for me to be away from home. But like I'm working in the environment that I want her to grow up in, so it's awesome. Like she's here now, she gets to see like how the best of the best live life, and we're not up here living in castles, we're down here like communicating and connecting with people. And so I'm lucky. Like she's in hunting camp with us most of the time. My dog, Forrest Gump, who is not in Australia, he's usually in hunting camp with us everywhere we go to. And it's like, that's for me. Like my family, I'm one of 5. I grew up with my nieces that moved in, so a household of 9. My family, Irish Catholic background, just like family means everything to me. And so being able to have her with me all the time is great. Like, you know, and so we, like what most moms, if they had the opportunity to have their kids with them over having to have them in daycare or something, would probably choose
and that's
that.
A big
so
thing.
I'm blessed to
be able
to
we're
do
a big
that.
thing with that. Like Chelsea's still at home. Sadie's actually won on Saturday and I'm up here. So that was a very hard decision to make to come here to do that. But as I said, you know, you're on, you're starting to make things.
It's got to be worth it.
It's got to be worth it to go.
Yeah.
So
like we're still at the stage where we probably say yes to everything, but that's just to get our name out there to do more events and then eventually led to stuff.
And the thing is too, like obviously I've got kids and all that, but Bill's younger, so Bill's experienced what we would have experienced when we were younger, when you were coming and going from Nashville, going everywhere and that.
Yeah.
Bill's in the position where he can do that stuff. He can go to Perth, he can go to Melbourne, he can come to CMC, he can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So we've got that little bit of luxury of I make my time decisions up where I can just sort of be like, okay, I'm not going to that one.
You can take one for the team this time.
Yeah. So it's really good in that sense.
My parents don't even know where I am half the time.
Yeah. we always joke about it with Bill's parents. They always say that we find out where Bill's been when we listen to a podcast on a Wednesday. So he's coming and going.
You know, that's funny because I had my family knew I was coming to Australia.
Yeah.
But I got so busy in the like packing and getting to Brisbane part that like I completely forgot to call my mum and tell her I was flying to Australia. And I went to Brisbane and I was like, FaceTime called mom and she's like, hey, and I was, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Brisbane. She goes, oh, that's great. Yeah, so I'll see you soon, mom.
Is there a goal, like, so you continue to come back to CMC? Is that something you want to continue?
Look, Australia is my home. I am an Aussie through and through. Molly was born in Australia. She hasn't even received her American passport yet. Australia, you know. So my goal is, yes, I want to be involved in CMC every year. My goal is to have a house in Australia that I can come back to as well. My family have our farm and we have all of that stuff, but I want to have like a piece of land that's mine too.
Yeah.
I want to be able to invest more in my family farms. And my dad died 5 years ago, and after he died, Mum just couldn't handle a lot of it, and so a lot of the cows and all that stuff got sold off. And so I would like to be able to invest more in, you know, the farm, getting it back to what it was like when I was a little kid. But yeah, they're all the long-term goals. Like, I love Australia. We're going after this. We're going up. I'm doing a stag hunt, and so got my visitor's license, which was such a whole thing to get in Queensland. Oh my gosh.
Anything you want to get in Australia to do, any license.
We had the Mississippi Police Department send through a letter saying saying that like you're not required to have a firearm license in Mississippi at all, which is hilarious. And then they ended up approving it. But so we're doing that, and then we're going up to the NT and filming water buffalo and like barra fishing and stuff with the Indigenous.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm going home to have Easter with my family.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So yeah,
It's a busy lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very you can swap and change with so many different places.
Yeah.
Have you been?
I think our dreams to one day get to Nashville.
Nashville's
come
like
over, let us know.
yeah. Our goal is like we're getting our feet in Australia now, but if we could just continue in the same spot, things can get stale. So we want to continue to grow and move into different spaces.
And things
stuff.
are different how they were now to like how it was when I was starting.
Yeah.
Now the world's is so much smaller.
Yeah.
You can connect so much easier. It really wasn't like Instagram was like buzzing when I was, it was like everything was Instagram, and now it's like it's so easy to connect. You don't have to be there all the time, but like you guys should come over.
And Nashville's
Come
definitely
over.
a dream, and it's not just like we want to see how it. We know how Australia works. We're from Australia. I've never left Australia. Like I've travelled so much of Australia.
I've barely left the state of Victoria.
Yeah. And that's like for me when I was younger, it was like in the car, let's go. Like we're going to Perth, we're going to Broome, we're going to Darwin. I've spent a lot of time in Darwin with a lot of mates, fishing, camping, the whole lot up there, and then like Mount Isa rodeo and that. I've been to that like everywhere. Yeah. So all that sort of stuff, you continue to do it and you continue to get into that space. Yeah. So, and then that's like, all right, we've figured out the space of Australia. Let's go somewhere else and figure it out. Like, I'd love to take Charles and the kids to Nashville, go over, just the country music side of things, the bars, all that sort of stuff, and then just the kids to get the experience. They're young and they're probably never going to like remember it, but it's just the whole experience of being there.
Yeah, and my advice for Nashville would be like, do Nashville. Nashville is a city.
Yeah.
And like it took me by surprise when I first like moved there because I was like, oh, it's like actually a city.
Right. Yeah.
But there are some really cool spots just outside of Nashville. So you can like, stay in Nashville, do the Nashville thing, Music Row, go to the Writers' Rounds, like really soak it up, and then go to the small towns outside. And that's where, come down to our place. You guys are welcome anytime. Our house, we bought a house in Mississippi on the river, and we're like right riverfront, and it is like a Huckleberry Finn story. It's old school. It's where Mossy Oak, the headquarters, are there, and it's like, it feels like it's the 1940s.
Yeah.
It feels like country Australia, honestly. Country Australia is like where my farm is. It's still we're 40
years behind.
Yeah, no, seriously, like it really, it's slow.
And that's good that you say about little country towns around like Nashville and that. For us, it's little things around Ballarat. Like we go to BNS and that's an hour and a half out of Ballarat. We went to just before Christmas. Yeah. It's a little town. It booms when the BNS is on, and then like you move to things like Danny. Like Danny's just sort of like it's there's a little bit
nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. There's a little bit there, but that weekend when that's on, it is like thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Massive.
So giving back to that little communities is what I love, because you see how many times like when you drive in Australia, like we drove 20 hours straight through to be here, and we would have went through towns that
I did the graveyard shift.
Yeah, it would have been 15 years ago. They would have been booming, but now you drive through them, the pubs boarded up, the post office boarded up, all that
and
sort of
stuff.
stuff.
And it's the same in the States, and that's with industries coming in and out and all of that stuff, and so you would find that interesting.
Yeah. Because I'm big on, and I always had when I had the country clothing brand, there was Clunes Quick Shear, so it was just like a quick shear, it was on everything, and like they used to have 200 people there, like the one just gone, they had like 800 people there. Yeah. They continue to grow. Yeah. But every year it's just something to go to because it's in a little community. Yeah. I've started to learn and know all the people around the community and that. And it's just one of them things, you get in that little community when these events are on and everyone in the local community comes together, has a beer together. Yeah. And you like start conversations with people like that, they're struggling farmers, or they own the pub in the town, or they own the post office, or the lottery, or the servo, like all in this little town. Yeah. And they're all at the events because it's just a little town.
Yeah. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this was great, guys.
Yeah,
I'm glad
you.
we did this. Fun.
Yeah, this is really cool. So thanks for coming on to our podcast.
Thank you for coming on my podcast.
So this is really cool. And as you sort of said, like it's so cool to be able to just collaborate with guys like that you don't know, and then it's just a message, and then become friends with them. Like a big one for me is Austin McCoy. He's a country folk singer. And we didn't really know him. I always listened to his music, and then it's a connection. And now I would call him one of my good mates. Like I text him and talk to him all the time. You get in this space where you meet such great people. That's awesome. You surround yourself with good people, good things will happen. That's like a big thing I always say.
I agree with you. And like I said, if you guys come over, let us know, and we'll give you like the full Nashville experience.
Definitely. I might
definitely do it.
Might ring Chelsea and tell her I'm going to Darwin to shoot water buffalo.
I know.
Might leave that up to you.
Have you done it yet?
No, I haven't. I've done a lot of barra fishing, deep sea fishing off the top of NT. But yeah, I haven't done too much shooting up there.
I shot a buffalo at 30 yards with my bow a couple years ago, and it is like, that is the most dangerous game.
Yeah,
It is insane. Plus, like that, it's just so magical out there with the Indigenous.
Yeah. And I love that Indigenous background and stuff. Like I've driven through communities and stuff, and you're meeting them all. They're like they meet you, and it's like they're meeting like the biggest. They're meeting Donald Trump to them. They're just like so excited to see people.
Yeah.
So, and like they do it tough and that, and it's just so good. That's another whole community thing, like getting around the Aboriginal community when you go to these places.
And actually saying what they want and not what we say they want. You know?
100%.
That's a big part of it too.
So,
so
CMC 2025. Thank you.
Thank you,
Maybe
guys.
we'll be sitting back here next year doing the same
Time
thing.
to go. I think so. And we'll go have a beer now.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Bring her on.